Have you ever wondered what secrets a 35-year-old cold case could hold? Tonight, we're diving deep into the chilling mystery of Linda Reed's disappearance. How did a vibrant young woman vanish into thin air, leaving behind nothing but questions and heartache? And more importantly, how did modern-day detectives finally crack the case after more than 3 decades? Stay with us as we unravel the twists and turns of the Linda Reed case, revealing shocking details and unexpected revelations that will keep you on the edge of your seat. This is one story you won't want to miss. Linda Reed was a 25-year-old woman who lived a life full of promise and potential. Born and raised in the quiet town of Elmwood, she was known for her kind heart and infectious smile. Linda worked as a nurse, dedicating her days to caring for others and making a difference in her community. She had a close-knit group of friends and family who adored her, and she was often seen volunteering at local events and helping those in need. Her disappearance was particularly baffling because Linda was not the type to just walk away from her life. She had no known enemies, and there were no signs of trouble leading up to the day she vanished. What made Linda's case stand out was the sheer lack of evidence and leads. It was as if she had vanished without a trace, leaving investigators with very little to go on. Despite extensive searches and numerous appeals for information, the case went cold for 35 long years. Linda's story became a haunting reminder of how a seemingly ordinary day could end in unthinkable tragedy, impacting the lives of all who knew her. The last known whereabouts of Linda Reed were at a local diner in Elmwood, where she often met friends after her shift at the hospital. On the evening of her disappearance, Linda had planned to meet her best friend, Karen, for dinner. They had arranged to catch up and enjoy one another's company, as they frequently did. According to Karen, Linda seemed her usual cheerful self, chatting about work and upcoming plans. They spent a couple of hours at the diner, and there was nothing out of the ordinary in Linda's behavior. Around 9 p.m., they both decided to head home. Linda walked Karen to her car in the parking lot, hugging her goodbye. Karen watched as Linda got into her own car, a blue Ford Escort, and drove off. This was the last time anyone would see Linda Reed alive. Her car was found abandoned 2 days later on the outskirts of town, near a wooded area. The car was locked, and there were no immediate signs of struggle or foul play. Inside the car, Linda's purse was found untouched, containing her wallet, phone, and keys. It was as if she had simply vanished into thin air. This discovery left investigators puzzled and deeply concerned. They scoured the nearby woods and surrounding areas but found no clues that could explain her disappearance. The lack of evidence made it incredibly challenging for detectives to piece together what had happened to Linda after she left the diner that night. It was a mystery that haunted the town of Elmwood, leaving her family and friends in a perpetual state of anguish and uncertainty. The case went cold, and for 35 years, Linda Reed's fate remained an agonizing enigma. The initial investigation into Linda Reed's mysterious disappearance was thorough and exhaustive. Detectives immediately began by interviewing everyone who had seen Linda on the night she vanished. Karen, her best friend, was questioned extensively, but she had no further insights to offer. The diner staff were also interviewed, but none of them recalled anything out of the ordinary that evening. They had noted Linda's presence but did not see anything unusual. One of the first leads came from a witness who claimed to have seen a blue Ford Escort similar to Linda's in the vicinity of the wooded area where her car was found. This lead prompted a detailed search of the woods, yet no additional evidence was uncovered. Another potential lead involved a man who was reportedly seen loitering near the diner around the time Linda left that night. This man was described as being in his mid-30s, with dark hair and a scruffy appearance. Despite this promising description, detectives were unable to identify or locate the man. The case grew even more perplexing when another witness came forward, stating they had spotted a woman matching Linda's description at a gas station 2 towns over the morning after she disappeared. However, surveillance footage from the gas station did not yield any useful information. With these leads going nowhere, the case grew increasingly difficult. Police distributed flyers, canvassed neighborhoods, and made public appeals for information, all to no avail. The media coverage brought in numerous tips, but most were dead ends. Detectives also explored Linda's personal life, interviewing her friends, family, and co-workers. They scrutinized her phone records and financial statements, searching for any sign of unusual activity or hidden troubles. But Linda's life appeared to be as straightforward as it seemed. There were no debts, no secret relationships, and no evidence of planned travel. All these efforts left investigators with more questions than answers. The sheer lack of physical evidence or credible leads meant they had very little to work with. Over time, the tips dwindled and resources were reallocated to more pressing cases, leading to Linda Reed's case going cold. It was an agonizing period for her loved ones, who were left in a state of limbo, yearning for closure but receiving none. For 35 years, Linda's disappearance remained an unsolved mystery, a ghostly reminder of a young woman who had seemingly vanished without a trace. The first suspects in Linda's disappearance emerged early in the investigation, causing both intrigue and suspicion within the community of Elmwood. Among them was a man named Richard Bowman. Richard was a regular at the diner where Linda was last seen and was known for his unsettling behavior. He had been seen frequently watching Linda from afar, an observation that many of her friends found disturbing. During questioning, Richard appeared nervous and defensive, but he denied any involvement in Linda's disappearance. Despite his odd demeanor, detectives could find no concrete evidence linking him to the crime, and he was eventually released. Another suspect was Linda's former boyfriend, Eric Johnston. Eric and Linda had dated for a few years before breaking up amicably, but there were rumors that Eric had struggled to move on. Friends of Linda recalled instances where Eric had tried to win her back, sometimes showing up unexpectedly at her workplace or her favorite hangouts. On the night of her disappearance, Eric's whereabouts were unaccounted for, adding to the suspicion. When questioned, Eric maintained that he had nothing to do with Linda's vanishing and expressed genuine concern for her well-being. Despite his insistence of innocence, the lack of an alibi made him a person of interest. Lastly, there were whispers about a local drifter named Tom Harris. Tom was known to wander through Elmwood, often seen near the outskirts of town where Linda's car was found. His transient lifestyle and unfamiliarity with the community made him an easy target for suspicion. When approached by police, Tom had little to say about Linda, claiming he had never seen or interacted with her. However, his sketchy past and vagrant behavior placed him under scrutiny. Each of these suspects had potential motives, whether it was obsession, unresolved feelings, or simply being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Yet none of these leads provided the breakthrough that detectives desperately needed, leaving Linda's disappearance shrouded in mystery. For many years, these men remained figures of speculative blame, but without any solid evidence to charge them. The case stagnated, and the community was left to wonder if the true perpetrator would ever be brought to justice. Foul play theories began to surface almost immediately following Linda Reed's disappearance, casting a shadow over the investigation and shaping its direction for years to come. One of the earliest theories was that Linda had fallen victim to an opportunistic criminal, someone who saw an isolated moment to strike. This idea gained traction due to the eerie setting where her car was found abandoned on the outskirts of town, close to a dense wooded area. The secluded location seemed like an ideal spot for a crime to go unnoticed, leading investigators to believe that someone may have been lurking in the shadows, waiting for a chance to pounce. Another prominent theory was that Linda had been targeted by someone she knew, perhaps an individual hiding a darker side. Given her outgoing and kind nature, Linda interacted with many people daily, both at the hospital and in her volunteer activities. This theory took investigators down a path of scrutinizing her personal relationships, looking for any signs of hidden tensions or secret animosities. While Linda's friends and family repeatedly attested to her having no known enemies, the possibility that she had trusted the wrong person could not be ignored. A particularly chilling theory revolved around the idea of a serial offender. This was fueled by reports of other women going missing under similar circumstances in nearby towns around the same time. Although no concrete connections were established, the similarities in the cases were hard to overlook. This possibility opened up a broader scope for the investigation, involving collaborations with other police departments and a deeper dive into regional crime patterns. These early foul play theories significantly influenced the investigation's trajectory. Detectives were meticulous in pursuing every possible lead, conducting extensive background checks on anyone remotely connected to Linda. They revisited the crime scene multiple times, each visit underpinned by the belief that they had missed a crucial piece of evidence. Surveillance of known felons and repeated interviews with potential witnesses became routine. Resources were stretched thin, and every theory, no matter how outlandish it seemed, was explored. Yet, each theory ultimately led to a frustrating dead end, further compounding the mystery and pushing hopes of a breakthrough further out of reach. The potential for foul play also kept the community on edge. Neighbors grew wary of strangers, and a sense of unease permeated Elmwood. Linda's disappearance was now a topic of hushed conversations at local gatherings, with everyone speculating on what might have happened. The lack of progress fed a growing sense of fear and suspicion, and trust within the community began to erode. Despite the exhaustive efforts and the multitude of foul play theories, the case remained unsolved for 35 years. Each theory, while plausible and thoroughly investigated, lacked the definitive evidence needed to solve the puzzle of Linda Reed's disappearance. The shadow of doubt lingered, casting a long and haunting pall over her friends and family, who continued to seek answers in the face of an ever-present mystery. As the years passed, these theories became haunting reminders of just how elusive the truth can be, and how a single night can leave an indelible mark on an entire community. The efforts made by Linda's family to find her and keep the case alive were nothing short of heroic. In the immediate aftermath of her disappearance, Linda's family rallied together, determined to do everything in their power to bring her home. They organized search parties, combing through every inch of Elmwood and the surrounding areas. Friends, neighbors, and even strangers joined in the effort, driven by the hope of finding any clue that could lead them to Linda. Her parents, Mary and John Reed, were at the forefront of these search efforts, refusing to let despair take hold. They printed and distributed thousands of flyers, each one bearing Linda's smiling face and a heartfelt plea for information. These flyers were plastered on every lamppost, bulletin board, and storefront, ensuring that no one in Elmwood could forget about Linda. They also took to the airwaves, appearing on local news stations and radio shows to keep her story in the public eye. Mary and John often stood in front of the camera, their faces etched with grief but their voices steady, urging anyone with information to come forward. As the days turned into weeks and then months, the Reed family's resolve only grew stronger. They hired private investigators to supplement the police's efforts, hoping that fresh eyes might uncover something that had been missed. They kept meticulous records of every lead, every tip, and every piece of evidence, no matter how small, believing that anything could be the key to solving the mystery. Linda's siblings, Sarah and Michael, played crucial roles as well. They took to social media, creating pages dedicated to finding Linda and sharing updates on the case with a larger audience. These platforms became a hub for support and information, drawing in people from all over who offered their help and shared Linda's story. The Reed family also held candlelight vigils and community events to keep the momentum going. These gatherings served as a poignant reminder of Linda's absence and a rallying cry for justice. Attendees would share memories of Linda, sing songs, and hold moments of silence, all the while vowing never to give up the search. Over the years, the Reed family's efforts became a symbol of unwavering love and determination. They fought tirelessly to keep Linda's case in the public eye, applying pressure on authorities to continue their investigations. They never let the community forget about the vibrant young woman who had vanished one fateful night. Their dedication paid off in small but meaningful ways, with renewed interest in the case and occasional new leads that reignited hope. Even as the years stretched on, the Reeds never stopped believing that Linda could be found. They clung to the belief that there was someone out there who knew the truth, someone who could finally provide the answers they so desperately sought. Their unyielding search was a testament to the power of family and the enduring hope that no matter how much time passed, Linda Reed would never be forgotten. This relentless pursuit ensured that her case remained active, and though the answers were long in coming, the family's perseverance kept the flame of hope burning brightly. The media frenzy surrounding Linda Reed's disappearance began almost immediately, capturing the attention of local and national news outlets. As soon as the story broke, reporters descended on Elmwood, turning the small town into the epicenter of a high-profile mystery. The initial coverage was intense, with news anchors broadcasting live from the diner where Linda was last seen and from the wooded area where her car was found. The media played a crucial role in shaping public perception, often sensationalizing the case to capture viewer interest. Headlines screamed about the vanishing nurse and the haunting mystery, painting a picture of an idyllic town suddenly thrust into a nightmare. Television segments featured interviews with Linda's tearful family and friends, their emotional pleas for information adding a human element to the unfolding drama. The press conferences held by law enforcement were heavily attended, with journalists eagerly looking for any new details. While this extensive media coverage kept Linda's story in the public eye, it also led to a flurry of rumors and speculative theories. Every new tip or potential lead was reported with fervor, even when they amounted to dead ends. The constant barrage of information created a sense of confusion and heightened anxiety within the community. Talk shows and true crime programs took a particular interest in the case, dedicating episodes to dissecting every aspect of Linda's life and disappearance. Experts speculated on motives, and armchair detectives flooded social media with their theories. While this kept the case alive in the public discourse, it also led to a myriad of false leads and misinformation. The intense scrutiny put added pressure on the police, who had to sift through a mountain of tips that often led nowhere. It also impacted Linda's family, who found themselves under the microscope, their every move and emotion analyzed by strangers. Despite these challenges, the media played an essential role in keeping Linda's case from fading into obscurity. The ongoing coverage ensured that her story remained a topic of conversation, prompting renewed interest and occasional fresh leads. The impact on public perception was profound. Linda's disappearance became a cautionary tale, a stark reminder of how quickly a life can be upended. The media's portrayal of Linda as a loving, dedicated nurse who vanished without a trace struck a chord with many, humanizing the mystery and rallying public support. Over the years, anniversary reports and updates on the case continued to appear, each one rekindling hope that new information might come to light. Documentaries and podcasts delved deeper into the investigation, offering in-depth analyses and interviews with those closest to Linda. These long-form pieces provided a more nuanced view of the case, balancing the sensationalism with heartfelt storytelling. The media frenzy may have brought its share of complications, but it also served as a powerful tool for keeping Linda Reed's story alive. The relentless coverage made it impossible for the public to forget, ensuring that the search for answers continued, driven by a collective desire for justice and closure. Uncovering new evidence, the breakthrough that finally breathed life back into the investigation came when an old storage unit in a neighboring town was auctioned off after years of neglect. Among the items inside, a dusty box containing a collection of personal belongings caught the attention of the new owner. Inside the box, police discovered a set of journals meticulously kept by a man named Jacob Simmons. These journals revealed a chilling narrative that seemed to align with the timeline of Linda Reed's disappearance. Jacob Simmons, who had passed away several years earlier, was a drifter known for his erratic behavior and troubled past. His journals detailed a dark period in his life, including confessions of abductions and encounters with several women. One particular entry stood out, describing a woman who matched Linda's description. The details were eerily specific, mentioning a young nurse from Elmwood and an abandoned car near the woods. This discovery was a significant turning point in the cold case, prompting detectives to re-examine old evidence and re-interview witnesses with fresh perspectives. The journals also mentioned a secluded cabin in the woods, a place Jacob referred to as his sanctuary. This led investigators to launch a new search operation in the wooded area where Linda's car was found decades earlier. Deep in the forest, they uncovered the remnants of the old cabin, partially hidden by overgrown foliage. Inside, they found personal items that could have belonged to Linda, including a locket engraved with her initials and a nurse's badge that looked strikingly similar to the one she wore. These items were sent for forensic analysis, and DNA testing provided a probable match to Linda Reed, reigniting the investigation and bringing a renewed sense of hope to her family and the community. The breakthrough not only opened up new avenues for the investigation, but also brought a sense of closure to some of Linda's loved ones who had spent years grappling with unanswered questions. This newfound evidence painted a grim picture, but also brought the promise of finally understanding what had happened to Linda and potentially holding someone accountable for her tragic fate. Reopening the case, the task of breathing new life into a 35-year-old cold case like Linda Reed's was fraught with numerous challenges and intricate processes. The decision to reopen the case was not taken lightly, given the complexities involved in revisiting such an old investigation. Detectives had to start by thoroughly reviewing all existing documentation and evidence, a Herculean task considering the voluminous records accumulated over the decades. Everything from witness statements and physical evidence to old photographs and crime scene reports needed to be meticulously re-examined. The passage of time posed a significant challenge, as memories fade and witnesses' recollections can become less reliable. However, advancements in forensic technology provided a glimmer of hope. Investigators had to navigate the delicate balance between old-fashioned detective work and modern scientific methods. This meant leveraging cutting-edge forensic techniques that were unavailable at the time of Linda's disappearance, such as advanced DNA analysis and digital forensics. One of the first steps was contacting past witnesses and persons of interest to see if time had loosened lips. The challenge here was that many people had moved away, changed contact information, or even passed away. Tracking these individuals down required a dedicated team of investigators who were adept at piecing together fragmented information. Reopening the case also involved coordinating with various agencies, as jurisdictional boundaries had shifted over the decades. This added bureaucratic layers to the process, requiring seamless collaboration between local police, state authorities, and sometimes even federal agencies. Each step of the investigation had to be cross-verified to ensure no stone was left unturned. Another significant hurdle was the physical deterioration of evidence. Over time, storage conditions could affect the integrity of physical items, making it crucial to handle these with utmost care. Forensic experts had to use new technologies to analyze old evidence, hoping to uncover details that were previously missed. Public interest in the case had waned over the years, so rekindling media attention was vital for generating new leads. This involved holding press conferences and releasing new information to the public, a strategy aimed at jogging the memories of those who might hold critical pieces of the puzzle. Despite these efforts, reopening a cold case was a race against time. Investigators faced the ever-looming challenge of staying ahead of further degradation of evidence and the loss of valuable witness testimonies. Each day brought its own set of uncertainties, but the renewed sense of purpose drove the team forward. The emotional toll on Linda's family and the community was immense, but their resilience and unwavering hope served as a constant source of motivation for the investigators. The reopening of Linda Reed's case was not just about solving a mystery. It was about bringing justice and closure to those who had spent 35 years in search of answers. Modern technologies and advancements in forensic science played a crucial role in finally solving the mystery of Linda Reed's disappearance. One of the most significant developments that aided the investigation was the introduction of advanced DNA analysis techniques. Unlike in the early years of the case, modern DNA profiling allowed investigators to extract and analyze even the smallest and most degraded samples of biological material. The forensic team revisited all the evidence collected from Linda's car, the wooded area, and the recently discovered cabin. They performed extensive DNA testing on items that had previously been deemed void of usable DNA. This technology enabled them to identify traces of Linda's DNA on the locket and nurse's badge found in the cabin, confirming their connection to her and providing a critical breakthrough. Another pivotal technology was the use of digital forensics. Investigators were able to analyze old phone records, bank statements, and social media activity with a level of detail that was not possible at the time of the original investigation. This digital footprint helped piece together Linda's movements and interactions leading up to her disappearance, offering new insights into her behavior and potential suspects. Additionally, advanced imaging and scanning technologies allowed the forensic team to re-examine the wooded area where Linda's car was found. High-resolution ground-penetrating radar and drone surveillance provided a more comprehensive map of the area, uncovering hidden evidence that had been missed in earlier searches. The advent of artificial intelligence and machine learning also played a role. AI algorithms were employed to sift through thousands of pieces of data, identifying patterns and connections that human analysts might have overlooked. These technologies helped narrow down the list of suspects and provided new leads that were instrumental in guiding the investigation. Furthermore, the ability to share and compare data with other law enforcement agencies through interconnected databases and digital platforms streamlined the investigation process. This collaboration brought in expertise and information from various sources, enriching the investigation with a broader perspective. Lastly, advancements in cold case methodologies, such as the development of forensic genealogy, offered a groundbreaking approach to solving long unsolved crimes. By analyzing familial DNA profiles, detectives were able to trace potential relatives of the suspect, ultimately leading them to individuals who might have had connections to Jacob Simmons. This innovative technique brought new hope and direction to the investigation, culminating in the long-awaited resolution of Linda Reed's case. The synergy of these modern technologies not only brought justice to Linda and her family, but also showcased how far forensic science has come in solving the most perplexing mysteries. Interviewing Detective Harris, who played a pivotal role in cracking the case, sheds light on the relentless effort and dedication that brought justice to Linda Reed's family. Detective Harris, can you walk us through that moment of breakthrough when you finally uncovered the evidence that led to solving Linda Reed's case? Detective Harris explains, the moment when we discovered Jacob Simmons' journals was a turning point. Those journals contained confessions and details that aligned perfectly with Linda's disappearance. We had always suspected foul play, but finding these written admissions from a person who had a history of erratic behavior and a troubled past was the concrete evidence we needed. How did modern forensic advancements assist in this investigation? Detective Harris continues, modern DNA analysis was a game changer. We were able to extract and identify DNA samples from items that had been in storage for decades. When the DNA results came back linking Linda to the locket and nurse's badge found in the cabin, we knew we were on the right track. The new technologies available today allowed us to revisit and re-evaluate old evidence with a fresh perspective, giving us leads that we never had before. What was the most challenging aspect of reopening a 35-year-old cold case? Detective Harris shares the most challenging aspect was dealing with the passage of time. Memories fade and witnesses move or pass away. Tracking down people connected to the case and ensuring that their recollections were still accurate was a significant hurdle. Additionally, physical evidence can deteriorate over time, so it was crucial to handle everything with the utmost care. However, the combination of modern forensic science and traditional detective work helped us overcome these challenges. Your determination and perseverance are evident. What kept you motivated throughout this long and complex investigation? Detective Harris reflects, "What kept me motivated was the unwavering hope of Linda's family and the community. They never gave up, and that inspired me to push through every obstacle. Knowing that we were working towards bringing justice and closure to Linda's loved ones was a powerful driving force." It was also about honoring Linda's memory and ensuring that her story was not forgotten. Finally, what does solving this case mean for you personally and for the community of Elmwood? Detective Harris concludes, "Solving this case is a testament to what can be achieved with determination, advanced technology, and community support. For me personally, it's a vindication of years of hard work and a reminder of why I became a detective. For the community of Elmwood, it's a moment of relief and closure. They can finally move forward knowing that Linda's story has been brought to light and justice has been served." This case demonstrates that no matter how much time passes, the pursuit of truth and justice is never in vain. Detective Harris' insights provide a compelling look into the dedication, advanced technologies, and relentless pursuit that ultimately solved the Linda Reed case, bringing a sense of closure to her family and the community. The critical mistake made by Jacob Simmons, the suspect in Linda Reed's case, was his meticulous journaling of his crimes. These detailed accounts, which he likely believed would never be discovered, ultimately became his downfall. Simmons had a habit of documenting his encounters and actions, possibly as a way to relive or justify his actions. This compulsion to write everything down, including the abduction of Linda Reed, was meant to be kept secret and hidden away in an old storage unit. However, when that storage unit was auctioned off, these incriminating journals fell into the hands of the authorities. The explicit details within the journals, such as the description of a young nurse from Elmwood and an abandoned car near the woods, were too specific to be coincidental. These entries not only provided a narrative that aligned with Linda's disappearance, but also pointed investigators to previously unknown evidence and locations, like the secluded cabin in the woods. Simmons' need to document his crimes created a paper trail that led detectives straight to the heart of the mystery. Without these journals, it is likely that his involvement would have never been uncovered. His mistake was underestimating the power of written word and the possibility that someday someone would find them. This error provided the breakthrough needed to solve the case and bring justice to Linda Reed and her family. The moment of Jacob Simmons' arrest was a culmination of tireless investigative work and a palpable sense of relief. On a crisp autumn morning, detectives surrounded Simmons' last known residence, a modest apartment on the edge of a neighboring town. The element of surprise was on their side as they knocked on his door. When Simmons answered, he was taken aback, his eyes widening in shock as he saw the badges and handcuffs. The arrest was swift and without resistance, as if Simmons knew the walls were finally closing in on him. Upon being brought to the station, Simmons initially maintained a facade of confusion and denial. He claimed ignorance, insisting he had no knowledge of Linda Reed or any involvement in her disappearance. However, the evidence against him was overwhelming. The journals, the DNA links, and the newly uncovered items from the cabin painted a damning picture. Detectives methodically laid out each piece of evidence during the interrogation, watching as Simmons' resolve began to crumble. After hours of questioning, under the weight of irrefutable proof and the persistent probing of seasoned detectives, Simmons' demeanor shifted. Perhaps realizing the futility of maintaining his innocence, he began to speak. His voice was low, laced with a mix of resignation and a twisted sense of relief as he confessed to the abduction and subsequent death of Linda Reed. According to his confession, Simmons had been stalking Linda for weeks, captivated by her kindness and beauty. On the night of her disappearance, he followed her from the diner, waiting until she was alone before making his move. In chilling detail, Simmons described how he lured Linda to his car under the guise of needing assistance, preying on her helpful nature. Once she was close enough, he overpowered her and drove to the secluded cabin, a place he referred to in his journals as his sanctuary. Simmons claimed that he hadn't initially planned to kill Linda but panicked when she resisted. He admitted to holding her captive for several days before her tragic end, though he withheld specific details, citing moments of blackout and disassociation. Simmons' confession was both a breakthrough and a heartbreak. For Linda's family, it brought a measure of closure, affirming their worst fears while providing the answers they had sought for 35 long years. The community of Elmwood, too, felt a bittersweet sense of relief, knowing that the person responsible for such a heinous act was finally held accountable. The arrest and confession of Jacob Simmons marked the end of a dark chapter, bringing justice to Linda Reed and allowing her loved ones to begin the healing process. The relentless pursuit of truth had triumphed, ensuring that Linda's memory would be honored and her story never forgotten. The legal proceedings following Jacob Simmons' arrest were comprehensive and meticulously executed, ensuring that justice would be served for Linda Reed and her family. Once Simmons was taken into custody, the first step was his arraignment. During this initial court appearance, the charges against him were formally read, including kidnapping, unlawful imprisonment, and murder. Simmons pleaded not guilty, setting the stage for a highly anticipated trial. The prosecution team, understanding the gravity of the case and its impact on the community, began preparing meticulously. They gathered all the evidence, including the damning journals, DNA evidence, and physical items found at the secluded cabin. The prosecution worked closely with forensic experts to bolster their case with irrefutable scientific proof, knowing that the strength of their evidence would be crucial in securing a conviction. Simultaneously, the defense team began formulating their strategy. They scrutinized the evidence provided by the prosecution, looking for any potential weaknesses or inconsistencies. They also prepared to argue that Simmons' confession was coerced or made under duress, aiming to create reasonable doubt in the minds of the jurors. In the months leading up to the trial, numerous pretrial motions and hearings took place. The defense filed motions to suppress certain pieces of evidence, arguing that they were obtained unlawfully. The prosecution countered these motions with detailed arguments demonstrating the legality and relevance of their evidence. The judge ruled in favor of the prosecution, allowing the key pieces of evidence to be admitted at trial. Jury selection was an extensive process given the high-profile nature of the case. Potential jurors were carefully vetted to ensure they could remain impartial despite the widespread media coverage and strong emotions surrounding the case. Both the defense and prosecution exercised their right to dismiss certain jurors, ultimately seating a panel that both sides agreed could fairly weigh the evidence presented. On the day the trial began, the courtroom was filled with an air of anticipation and solemnity. The prosecution opened with a powerful statement, painting a vivid picture of Linda Reed's life, her tragic disappearance, and the exhaustive efforts to bring her justice. They presented their evidence methodically, calling witnesses to testify about the discoveries in the journals, the DNA matches, and the items found in the cabin. Each piece of evidence was laid out with precision, building a compelling narrative that pointed to Simmons' guilt. The defense, in their opening statement, urged the jury to consider the possibility of reasonable doubt. They highlighted the challenges of prosecuting a case so old, arguing that the passage of time could have led to errors or mistaken interpretations of the evidence. They also attempted to discredit Simmons' confession, suggesting it was made under mental duress and should not be taken at face value. Throughout the trial, the prosecution and defense presented their witnesses, cross-examined each other's testimonies, and laid out their arguments. Expert witnesses provided detailed explanations of the forensic evidence, while those who knew Linda Reed spoke of her character and the impact of her disappearance. The atmosphere in the courtroom was tense as both sides passionately presented their cases, each fighting for their version of the truth. After several weeks of testimony, the case was finally handed over to the jury. The jury deliberated for several days, weighing the evidence and arguments presented during the trial. The community of Elmwood waited with bated breath, hoping for a verdict that would bring closure to a decades-long nightmare. When the jury returned, the verdict was announced, guilty on all charges. The courtroom erupted in a mixture of relief and emotion as justice was finally served for Linda Reed. The judge sentenced Jacob Simmons to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, ensuring that he would never harm another person again. With the trial concluded, the legal proceedings brought a sense of resolution to Linda's family and the community, affirming the power of the legal system to deliver justice even after many years. The courtroom drama surrounding Jacob Simmons' trial was nothing short of gripping. As the trial commenced, the prosecution wasted no time in laying out their case. They began with an opening statement that painted a visceral picture of Linda Reed's life, her sudden disappearance, and the painstaking 35-year journey to find justice. They described Linda as a beloved member of her community, a dedicated nurse who touched countless lives. Each word resonated in the silent courtroom, setting the stage for the weeks to come. The prosecution called numerous witnesses to testify. Among the most compelling was Karen, Linda's best friend and the last person to see her alive. Karen recounted that fateful night at the diner, her voice trembling as she described their cheerful conversation and final goodbye. Her testimony brought the human aspect of the case to the forefront, reminding everyone of the deep personal loss Linda's disappearance had caused. Next came the forensic experts who had meticulously analyzed the evidence. They detailed how modern DNA technology had linked Linda to the locket and nurse's badge found in Jacob Simmons' secluded cabin. The prosecution also introduced the journals as evidence, having the forensic experts explain the painstaking process of authenticating them and matching their contents to the timeline of Linda's disappearance. Each technical term and piece of evidence was carefully explained to ensure the jury understood its significance. The defense took a different approach, seeking to undermine the credibility of the prosecution's evidence. They argued that the journals could have been fabricated or altered over time, and that the DNA evidence, while compelling, was circumstantial. They called their own experts to cast doubt on the methodologies used and the conclusions drawn by the prosecution's team. The defense also questioned the integrity of the investigation, suggesting that the cold case had led to a rush to judgment in the face of public pressure. Among the defense witnesses was a former colleague of Simmons who testified about his erratic behavior but stopped short of implicating him in any specific crimes. The defense aimed to present Simmons as a troubled individual who might have written the journals as a form of fantasy or delusion rather than actual confessions. They also highlighted inconsistencies in some of the witness testimonies, attempting to sow seeds of doubt about the reliability of the evidence and the memories of those involved. The most dramatic moment of the trial came when the prosecution cross-examined Simmons himself. Under oath, Simmons initially stuck to his story of denial, claiming he had no involvement in Linda's disappearance. However, the prosecution's pointed questions and the mounting pressure of irrefutable evidence began to wear him down. As the prosecutor Reed allowed passages from his journals, each entry laden with chilling details that matched the crime scene, Simmons' facade of innocence started to crack. His growing unease was palpable, and the courtroom watched in stunned silence as he faltered. Finally, the prosecution presented their closing arguments. They revisited the key pieces of evidence, the emotional testimonies, and the scientific proof, weaving them into a compelling narrative that left little room for doubt. They implored the jury to see through the defense's attempts at obfuscation and to deliver justice for Linda Reed and her family. The defense, in their closing statement, reiterated the concept of reasonable doubt. They urged the jury to consider the passage of time, potential investigative errors, and the lack of direct evidence linking Simmons to the actual crime scene at the time of Linda's disappearance. They painted a picture of a flawed prosecution case built on circumstantial evidence and pressured witnesses. As the jury deliberated, the tension in the courtroom was palpable. After several days, they returned with their verdict, guilty on all charges. The announcement was met with tears of relief and a sense of communal vindication. Justice had finally been served for Linda Reed, marking the end of a long and arduous journey for her family and the community of Elmwood. The courtroom drama had not only revealed the depths of human depravity, but also showcased the resilience and perseverance needed to uncover the truth. The verdict brought an intense wave of emotions that swept through the courtroom. As the jury foreperson stood to announce their decision, the room fell silent. We, the jury, find the defendant Jacob Simmons guilty on all charges. The words echoed in the stillness, each syllable carrying the weight of 35 years of pain, uncertainty, and relentless pursuit of justice. A collective sigh of relief rippled through Linda Reed's family and friends who had waited so long for this moment. Mary and John Reed, Linda's parents, clutched each other tightly, tears streaming down their faces. Their expressions were a mix of sorrow and catharsis, finally able to confront the truth of their daughter's fate while experiencing the relief of knowing justice had been served. Linda's siblings, Sarah and Michael, embraced their parents, their faces reflecting a bittersweet sense of closure. On the other side of the room, Jacob Simmons sat motionless, his face a mask of resignation. The prosecution team exchanged determined nods, their hard work having paid off with a conviction that would ensure Simmons could never harm another person. Detective Harris, who had played a pivotal role in reopening the case, felt a profound sense of accomplishment. The years of tireless effort, re-examining evidence, and following every lead had finally led to this moment. The courtroom buzzed with a mixture of subdued conversations and emotional reactions as the judge prepared to hand down the sentence. Jacob Simmons, you have been found guilty of the kidnapping, unlawful imprisonment, and murder of Linda Reed. The court sentences you to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. The judge declared. The impact of those words resonated deeply with everyone present, sealing Simmons' fate. Outside the courthouse, the community of Elmwood gathered, their collective breath held as they awaited confirmation of the outcome. When the news broke, a wave of relief and unity permeated the crowd. People hugged, cried, and shared stories of Linda, honoring her memory and the justice that had finally been achieved. The media captured the scene, broadcasting the monumental conclusion of a case that had haunted the town for decades. Linda Reed's legacy was no longer shrouded in mystery, but was now a testament to resilience, determination, and the unwavering pursuit of truth. The guilty verdict and life sentence ensured that Jacob Simmons would spend the rest of his days behind bars, bringing a measure of peace to Linda's family, and the entire community. Linda Reed's legacy is indelibly etched into the hearts and minds of all who knew her, as well as the broader community of Elmwood. The resolution of her case has had a profound impact on her family, bringing them a bittersweet mix of closure and continued sorrow. For 35 years, they held on to hope, fueled by determination and an unyielding belief in justice. The verdict and sentencing of Jacob Simmons have allowed them to finally grieve with the knowledge that Linda's truth has been brought to light. This journey has bonded them even closer, reinforcing their resilience and the strength of their familial love. Sarah and Michael Reed, Linda's siblings, have channeled their grief into advocacy, working to support other families who have experienced similar tragedies. They have partnered with local organizations to raise awareness about missing persons and advocate for advancements in forensic technology. Through public speaking engagements and community initiatives, they honor Linda's memory by helping others navigate the painful journey of uncertainty and loss. Their efforts have brought about tangible change, resulting in improved methods for handling cold cases and a greater focus on providing support for affected families. The community of Elmwood has also been forever changed by Linda's story. Her disappearance and the decades-long search for answers have left a lasting imprint on the town's collective consciousness. The eventual resolution of the case has brought a sense of healing and unity as residents came together in their pursuit of justice. The case has reminded everyone of the importance of vigilance, community support, and the relentless search for truth. Linda's legacy is seen in the strengthened ties within Elmwood, where neighbors look out for one another with renewed solidarity. Linda's impact extends beyond Elmwood as her story has resonated with people far and wide. Her legacy serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of never giving up hope, even in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. The advancements in forensic science and the dedication of investigators that led to the resolution of her case have inspired improvements in how cold cases are handled nationwide. Linda Reed's story has become a symbol of perseverance, inspiring countless individuals and families to continue their own quests for justice. In honoring Linda's memory, her family and community have ensured that her life and the lessons learned from her case will continue to have a positive impact for generations to come. The determination to find the truth, the strength to endure, and the commitment to helping others in similar situations stand as testament to the enduring legacy of Linda Reed. Her story is not just one of tragedy, but also of hope, resilience, and the unwavering human spirit. The resolution of Linda Reed's 35-year-old cold case has had a significant impact on how other cold cases are handled, bringing about profound changes in investigative practices and methodologies. One of the most notable influences has been the increased emphasis on the use of advanced forensic technologies. The breakthroughs achieved in Linda's case through modern DNA analysis and digital forensics have demonstrated the importance of revisiting old evidence with new, cutting-edge tools. This has led to a surge in the re-examination of cold cases across the country, with law enforcement agencies investing in the latest forensic advancements to uncover new leads and solve long-standing mysteries. Additionally, Linda's case has highlighted the critical role of thorough documentation and record-keeping. The discovery of Jacob Simmons' journals was pivotal in solving the case, underscoring the importance of meticulously preserving and analyzing all forms of evidence, no matter how seemingly insignificant. This has prompted investigators to implement more rigorous documentation practices and to maintain comprehensive records that could be invaluable in future cold case investigations. The collaboration and coordination between different law enforcement agencies have also been influenced by the resolution of Linda Reed's case. The successful outcome showcased the benefits of pooling resources and expertise from various agencies, encouraging a more unified approach to solving cold cases. This has led to the establishment of specialized task forces and greater information sharing between local, state, and federal agencies, creating a more cohesive network dedicated to addressing unsolved cases. Public engagement and community involvement have been significantly bolstered as a result of this case. The tireless efforts of Linda's family and the widespread media coverage kept her case in the public eye, demonstrating the power of community support in driving an investigation forward. This has inspired law enforcement agencies to actively engage with the public, seeking their assistance and encouraging the sharing of information that could be crucial in solving other cold cases. The emphasis on community outreach has fostered stronger relationships between police and the communities they serve, enhancing the overall effectiveness of cold case investigations. Moreover, the perseverance shown in solving Linda Reed's case has reinforced the importance of never giving up on a cold case, regardless of how much time has passed. Law enforcement agencies are now more committed than ever to maintaining hope and persistence in their investigations, recognizing that breakthroughs can happen even after decades. This renewed dedication has led to the reopening and re-examination of numerous cold cases, giving hope to families seeking justice for their loved ones. Finally, the case has underscored the value of psychological support for the families of victims. The Reed family's journey highlighted the emotional toll that unresolved cases take on loved ones, prompting law enforcement agencies to provide better support and resources to families during the investigation process. This holistic approach ensures that families are not only kept informed, but also receive the compassion and assistance they need as they navigate the complexities of a cold case investigation. The resolution of Linda Reed's case has set a new standard in cold case investigations, driving significant improvements in forensic science, investigative techniques, community engagement, and family support. It stands as a testament to the enduring pursuit of justice and the transformative power of modern investigative practices. The public's reaction to the solving of Linda Reed's case was a powerful mix of relief, joy, and solemn reflection. When the news broke, it spread rapidly through Elmwood and far beyond, reaching all corners of the nation. People who had followed the case for years, and even those who had only recently learned of it, felt a deep sense of closure and justice. The town of Elmwood, which had been haunted by Linda's disappearance for over 3 decades, experienced a collective sigh of relief. Residents gathered in public spaces, sharing stories and memories of Linda while expressing gratitude for the tireless efforts of investigators. Candlelight vigils were held where community members lit candles, prayed, and sang songs in Linda's honor, creating a poignant atmosphere of remembrance and hope. Notable public figures also weighed in on the resolution of the case. The state governor released a statement commending the dedication and perseverance of the law enforcement agencies involved, highlighting the case as a testament to the advancements in forensic science and the importance of never giving up on unsolved mysteries. He called the resolution a victory for justice and a beacon of hope for other families with missing loved ones, emphasizing that every effort must continue until all cold cases are solved. Prominent true crime authors and commentators who had followed the case closely shared their thoughts on social media and in news articles. They praised the breakthrough as a landmark moment in cold case investigations, noting the impact it would have on future cases. Some expressed admiration for the way Linda's family had kept her story alive, inspiring others in similar situations to remain hopeful and vigilant. Celebrities known for their advocacy in missing persons cases also voiced their support. One well-known actress who had previously lent her platform to raise awareness about Linda's disappearance posted a heartfelt message on her social media accounts. She spoke about the importance of community support and the relentless pursuit of truth, encouraging her followers to continue supporting efforts to solve other cold cases. The general public reacted with an outpouring of support for Linda's family and the investigative team. Online forums and social media platforms were flooded with messages of condolence, celebration of the justice served, and recognition of the hard work that went into solving the case. Hashtags related to Linda Reed's case trended for days, uniting people from all walks of life in a shared moment of justice and community solidarity. Many compared Linda's case to other high-profile cold cases, drawing parallels and expressing hope that those too would someday be resolved. The resolution of Linda Reed's case also sparked renewed discussions about the importance of resources and attention dedicated to missing persons and cold cases. Advocates and organizations working in this field saw a surge in public interest and support, with many people making donations and volunteering to help families in similar situations. In the aftermath of the case being solved, Linda's legacy became a symbol of resilience and the enduring power of hope. The public's reaction reinforced the significance of never giving up, inspiring continued efforts to seek justice for others. The case not only brought closure to a grieving family and community, but also left an indelible mark on the broader societal conversation about missing persons, forensic science, and the pursuit of truth and justice. Preventive measures taken to prevent similar cases from going cold in the future have become a critical focus for law enforcement agencies across the nation. One of the most significant steps has been the establishment of specialized cold case units. These dedicated teams consist of seasoned detectives and forensic experts who are specifically tasked with reviewing and investigating unsolved cases. By allocating resources and personnel solely to cold cases, these units ensure that older investigations receive the continued attention they deserve, preventing them from fading into obscurity. Another essential measure has been the advancement and integration of forensic technology. The success in solving Linda Reed's case using modern DNA analysis and digital forensics has underscored the importance of continuously updating and utilizing the latest scientific methods. Law enforcement agencies are now investing heavily in cutting-edge technologies such as advanced DNA testing, forensic genealogy, and digital evidence analysis. These tools allow investigators to extract valuable information from even the most degraded evidence, providing new leads and insights that were previously unattainable. Enhanced record-keeping and data management practices have also been implemented to prevent cases from going cold. Comprehensive documentation of all evidence, witness statements, and investigative actions are now standard procedure. This meticulous approach ensures that no detail is overlooked and that all information remains accessible and organized for future review. Additionally, the use of interconnected databases and digital platforms has facilitated better information sharing and collaboration between different law enforcement agencies. This unified approach helps in cross-referencing data and identifying potential connections between cases that may have been missed otherwise. Public engagement and community support have become key components in preventing cases from going cold. Law enforcement agencies are actively involving the public in their investigations by leveraging social media, community outreach programs, and public appeals for information. By keeping the community informed and engaged, authorities can gather valuable tips and foster a collaborative environment where residents feel empowered to contribute to solving crimes. This collective effort not only keeps the public vigilant but also ensures that cases remain in the public eye, preventing them from being forgotten. Training and education for law enforcement personnel have been prioritized to ensure that officers are equipped with the skills and knowledge needed to handle cold cases effectively. Specialized training programs focus on advanced investigative techniques, forensic science, and victim support, providing officers with the tools they need to conduct thorough and methodical investigations. Continuous professional development in these areas helps maintain a high standard of investigative work, reducing the likelihood of cases going cold due to procedural errors or lack of expertise. Victim and family support services have also been strengthened to ensure that the emotional and psychological needs of those affected by unsolved cases are addressed. Providing regular updates, counseling, and support groups helps families cope with the uncertainty and stress of a long-term investigation. This compassionate approach not only aids in their emotional well-being, but also encourages families to remain engaged and proactive in seeking justice for their loved ones. Finally, legislative changes and policy reforms have been enacted to prioritize the resolution of cold cases. Laws mandating the periodic review of unsolved cases, funding for cold case units, and the preservation of physical evidence have been introduced to create a more robust framework for investigative work. These legal measures ensure that cold cases receive the necessary resources and attention, preventing them from being sidelined in favor of more recent investigations. By implementing these preventive measures, law enforcement agencies are better equipped to tackle the challenges of cold cases, ensuring that no victim is forgotten and that justice remains within reach for all. Lessons learned from the investigation and trial of Linda Reed's case offer invaluable insights that can shape the future of cold case investigations. One key takeaway is the power of perseverance and tenacity. The relentless efforts of Linda's family, the dedication of law enforcement, and the unwavering support of the community demonstrated that even decades-old cases can be solved with sustained effort and hope. The importance of modern forensic technology also stands out. Advanced DNA analysis and digital forensics provided breakthroughs that were unimaginable at the time of Linda's disappearance. These tools reminded us of the need to continually update forensic methodologies and revisit old evidence with fresh eyes and new technology. Collaboration between law enforcement agencies emerged as another crucial lesson. The coordinated efforts across local, state, and even federal agencies showcased how pooling resources and expertise can lead to significant breakthroughs. This approach should be a standard practice in handling complex and long-standing investigations. Thorough documentation and meticulous record-keeping were shown to be vital. The detailed records maintained over the years were indispensable in piecing together the final solution. Maintaining comprehensive and organized files ensures that every piece of evidence is preserved for future re-examination. Community involvement proved to be a powerful force. The public's engagement through tips, social media, and support events kept the case alive and provided crucial information that helped guide investigators. Law enforcement must continue to foster strong relationships with the communities they serve to enhance the effectiveness of their investigations. The emotional support for victims' families was another important aspect. Providing continuous updates, counseling, and emotional assistance helped the families cope with the prolonged uncertainty and stress, ensuring they remained active participants in the pursuit of justice. Legislative changes and policy reforms were highlighted as essential elements in prioritizing cold cases. Laws mandating periodic reviews, allocating funding for cold case units, and ensuring the preservation of evidence create a robust framework for ongoing investigations. Lastly, the importance of never giving up on seeking the truth was underscored. The resolution of Linda Reed's case serves as a testament that time should never be a barrier to justice, and that with determination, advanced technology, and community support, even the most challenging cases can find closure. These lessons learned offer a roadmap for future investigations, ensuring that the pursuit of justice remains steadfast and resilient. In conclusion, reflecting on the journey from mystery to resolution in Linda Reed's case reminds us of the profound significance each step holds in the pursuit of justice. From the haunting unknowns that gripped Elmwood for 35 long years to the relentless efforts of her family, the dogged determination of detectives, and the advanced forensic technologies that finally brought answers, this case stands as a testament to the power of perseverance and hope. The story of Linda Reed is not just a tale of loss and tragedy, it is also one of unwavering dedication, of a community coming together, and of the relentless pursuit of truth. Her case changed the way cold cases are approached, inspiring renewed vigor in the search for justice for other families still waiting for answers. As we close this chapter, we are reminded that no matter how much time has passed, the quest for justice must never be abandoned. The resolution of Linda Reed's case serves as a beacon of hope and a powerful reminder that persistence, combined with modern science and community support, can indeed turn the wheels of justice. Let Linda's story inspire us to remain vigilant, compassionate, and committed to seeking the truth for all those who have yet to find it. Thank you for joining us on this emotional and impactful journey. If you found this story compelling, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more gripping tales of mystery and resolution.